God's covenant commitment. Darius, son of Ahasuerus, born of Mede, became king over the land of Babylon in the first year of his reign. I, Daniel, was meditating on the scriptures that gave, according to the word of God, to the prophet Jeremiah, the number of years that Jerusalem had to lie in ruins, namely 70. I turned to the Master God, asking for an answer, praying earnestly, fasting from meals, wearing rough penitential burlap, and kneeling in the ashes. I poured out my heart, bearing my soul to God, my God. O Master, great and august God, you never waver in your covenant commitment, never give up on those who love you and do what you say. Yet we have sinned in every way imaginable. We've done evil things, rebelled, dodged, and taken detours around your clearly marked paths. We turned a deaf ear to your servants, the prophets who preached your word to our kings and leaders, our parents, and all the people in the land. We've done everything right, Master, but all we have to show for our lives is guilt, shame, the whole lot of us, people of Judah, citizens of Jerusalem, Israel at home, and Israel in exile, and all the places we've been banished to because of our betrayal of you. Oh, yes, God, we've been exposed in our shame, all of us, our kings, leaders, parents, before the whole world, and deservedly so because of our sin. Compassion is our only hope, the compassion of you, the Master, our God. Since our rebellion, we forfeited our rights. We paid no attention to you when you told us how to live. The clear teaching that came through your servants, the prophets, all of us in Israel ignored what you said. We defied your instructions and did what we pleased, and now we're paying for it. The solemn curse written out plainly in the revelation to God's servant Moses is now doing its work among us, the wages of our sin against you. You did to us and our rulers what you said you would do. You brought this catastrophic disaster on us, the worst disaster on record. And in Jerusalem, just as is written in God's revelation to Moses, the catastrophe was total. Nothing was held back. We kept at our sinning, never giving you a second thought, oblivious to your clear warning. And so you had no choice but to let the disaster loose on us in full force. You, our God, had a perfect right to do this since we persistently and defiantly ignored you. Master, you are our God, for you've delivered your people from the land of Egypt in a show of power. People are still talking about it. We confess that we have sinned and that we've lived bad lives, following the lines of what you have always done in setting things right, setting people right. Please stop being so angry with Jerusalem, your very own city, your holy mountain. We know it's our fault that this has happened, all because of our sins and our parents' sins. And now we're an embarrassment to everyone around us. We're a blot on the neighborhood. So listen, God, to this determined prayer of your servant. Have mercy on your ruined sanctuary. Act out of who you are, not of what we are. Turn your ears our way, God, and listen. Open your eyes and take a long look at our ruined city, this city named after you. We know that we don't deserve hearing from you. Our appeal is to your compassion. This prayer is our last and only hope. Master, listen to us. Master, forgive us. Master, look at us and do something. Master, don't put us off. Your city and your people are named after you. You have a stake in us. 77s. While I was pouring out my heart, bearing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, praying my life out before my God, interceding for the holy mountain of God, while I was absorbed in this praying, the human like Gabriel, the one I had seen in an earlier vision, approached me, flying in like a bird about the time of evening worship. He stood before me and said, Daniel, I've come to make things plain to you. You had no sooner started your prayer when the answer was given. And now I'm here to deliver the answer to you. You are much loved. So listen carefully to the answer, the plain meaning of what is revealed. 77s are set for your people and for your holy city to throttle rebellion, stop sin, wipe out crime, set things right forever, confirm what the prophet saw, and anoint the Holy of Holies. Here's what you must understand. From the time the word goes out to rebuild Jerusalem until the coming of the anointed leader, there will be 7 sevens. The rebuilding will take 62 sevens, including building streets and digging a moat. Those will be rough times. After the 62 sevens, the anointed leader will be killed, the end of him. The city and sanctuary will be laid in ruins by the army of the newly arriving leader. The end will come in a rush like a flood. War will rage up to the end, desolation, the order of the day. Then for 1 7, he will forge many and strong alliances, but halfway through the 7, he will banish worship and prayers at the place of worship. A desecrating obscenity will be set up and remain until finally the desecrator himself is decisively destroyed. Daniel 10, a vision of a big war. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Cyrus of Persia, a message was made plain to Daniel, whose Babylonian name was Belteshazzar. The message was true. It dealt with a big war. He understood the message, the understanding coming by revelation. During those days, I, Daniel, went into mourning over Jerusalem for 3 weeks. I ate only plain and simple food, no seasoning or meat or wine. I neither bathed nor shaved until 3 weeks were up. On the 24th day of the first month, I was standing on the bank of the great river, the Tigris. I looked up, and to my surprise, I saw a man dressed in linen with a belt of pure gold around his waist. His body was hard and glistening as if sculpted from a precious stone. His face radiant, his eyes bright and penetrating like torches, his arms and feet glistening like polished bronze, and his voice, deep and resonant, sounded like a huge choir of voices. I, Daniel, was the only one to see this. The men who were with me, although they didn't see it, were overcome with fear and ran off and hid, fearing the worst. Left alone after the appearance, abandoned by my friends, I went weak in the knees, the blood drained from my face. I heard his voice. At the sound of it, I fainted. Now you just keep fainting. Fell flat on the ground, facing the dirt. A hand touched me and pulled me to my hands and knees. Daniel, he said, a man of quality, listen carefully to my message and get up on your feet. Stand at attention. I've been sent to bring you news. When he had said this, I stood up, but I was still shaking. Relax, Daniel, he continued. Don't be afraid. From the moment you decided to humble yourself to receive understanding, your prayer was heard. And I set out to come to you, but I was waylaid by the angel prince of the kingdom of Persia and was delayed for a good 3 weeks. But then Michael, one of the chief angel princes, intervened to help me. I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia. Now I'm here to help you understand what will eventually happen to your people. The vision has to do with what's ahead. While he was saying all this, I looked at the ground and said nothing. Then I was surprised by something like a human hand that touched my lips. I opened my mouth and started talking to the messenger. When I saw you, master, I was terror-stricken. My knees turned to water. I couldn't move. How can I, a lowly servant, speak to you, my master? I'm paralyzed. I can hardly breathe. Then this human-like figure touched me again and gave me strength. He said, don't be afraid, friend. Peace. Everything's going to be all right. Take courage. Be strong. Even as he spoke, courage surged up within me. I said, go ahead. Let my master speak. You've given me courage. He said, do you know why I've come here to you? I now have to go back to fight against the angel prince of Persia. And when I get him out of the way, the angel prince of Greece will come. But first, let me tell you what is written in the true book. No one helps me in my fight against these beings except Michael, your angel prince. Daniel 11. And I, in my turn, have been helping him out as best I can ever since the first year in the reign of Darius the Mede, the kings of the south and the north. But now let me tell you the truth of how things stand. 3 more kings of Persia will show up, and then the 4th will become richer than all of them. When he senses that he's powerful enough as a result of his wealth, he will go to war against the entire kingdom of Greece. Then a powerful king will show up and take over a huge territory and run things like just as he pleases. But at the height of his power, with everything seemingly under control, his kingdom will split into 4 parts, like the 4 points of the compass, but his heirs won't get in. There will be no continuity. There will be no continuity with his kingship. Others will tear it to pieces and grab whatever they can to get for themselves. Next, the king of the south will grow strong, but one of his princes will grow stronger than he and rule an even larger territory. After a few years, the 2 of them will make a pact, and the daughter of the king of the south will marry the king of the north to cement the peace agreement. But her influence will weaken and will not survive. She and her servants, her child, and her husband will be betrayed. Sometime later, a member of the royal family will show up and take over. He will take command of his army and invade the defenses of the king of the north and win a resounding victory. He will load up their 10 gods and all the gold and silver trinkets that go with them and cart them off to Egypt. Eventually, the king of the north will recover and invade the country of the king of the south, but unsuccessfully. He will have to retreat. But then his sons will raise a huge army and rush down like a flood, a torrential attack on the defenses of the south. Furious, the king of the south will come out and engage the king of the north and his huge army in battle and rout them. As the corpses are cleared from the field, the king, inflamed with bloodlust, will go on bloodletting rampage, massacring tens of thousands, but his victory won't last, for the king of the north will put together another army bigger than the last one. And after a few years, he'll come back to do battle again with his immense army and endless supplies. In those times, many others will get into the act and go off to fight against the king of the south. Hotheads from your own people, drunk on dreams, will join them, but they'll sputter out. When the king of the north arrives, he'll build siege works and capture the outpost for a city. The armies of the south will fall to pieces before him. Not even their famous commando shock troops will slow down the attacker. He'll march in big as you please, as if he owned the place. He'll take over that beautiful country, Palestine, and make himself at home in it. Then he'll proceed to get everything, lock, stock, and barrel, in his control. He'll cook up a peace treaty and even give his daughter in marriage to the king of the south in a plot to destroy him totally. But the plot will fizzle. It won't succeed. Later, he'll turn his attention to the coastal regions and capture a bunch of prisoners, but a general will step in and put a stop to his bullying ways. The bully will be bullied, He'll go back home and tend to his own military affairs, but by then he'll be washed up and soon will be heard of no more. He will be replaced shortly by a real loser. His rule, reputation, and authority already in shreds, and he won't last long. He'll slip out of history quietly without even a fight. His place will be taken by a reject, a man spurned and passed over for advancement. He'll surprise everyone, seemingly coming out of nowhere, and will seize the kingdom. He'll come in like a steamroller, flattening the opposition. Even the prince of the covenant will be crushed. After negotiating a ceasefire, he'll betray its terms. With a few henchmen, he'll take control, and arbitrarily and impulsively, he'll invade the richest provinces. He'll surpass all his ancestors near and distance in his rape of the country, grabbing and looting, living with his cronies in corrupt and lavish luxury. He'll make plans against the fortress cities, but they'll turn out to be short-sighted. He'll get a great army together, all charged up to fight the king of the south. King of the south, in response, will get his army, an even greater army in place, ready to fight. But he won't be able to sustain the intensity for long because of the treacherous intrigue in his own ranks, his court having been honeycombed with vicious plots. His army will be smashed, the battlefield filled with corpses. The two kings, each with evil designs on the other, will sit at the conference table and trade lies. Nothing will come of the treaty, which is nothing but a tissue of lies anyways, but that's not the end of it. There's more to this story. The king of the north will go home loaded down with plunder, but his mind will be set on destroying the Holy Covenant as he passes through the country on his way home. 1 year later, he will mount a fresh invasion of the south, but the second invasion won't compare to the first. When the Roman ships arrive, he will turn tail and go back home, but as he passes through the country, he will be filled with anger at the Holy Covenant. He will take up with all those who betray the Holy Covenant, favoring them. The bodyguards surrounding him will march in and desecrate the sanctuary and citadel. They'll throw out the daily worship and set up in its place the obscene sacrilege. The king of the north will play up to those who betray the Holy Covenant, corrupting them even further with his seductive talk. But those who stay courageously loyal to their God will take a strong stand. Those who keep their heads on straight will teach the crowds right from wrong by their example. They'll be put to severe testing for a season. Some killed, some burned, some exiled, some robbed. When the testing is intense, they'll get some help, but not much. Many of the helpers will be half-hearted at best. The testing will refine, cleanse, and purify those who keep their heads on straight and stay true, for there's still more to come. Meanwhile, the king of the north will do whatever he pleases. He'll puff himself up and posture himself as greater than any god. He'll even dare to brag and boast in defiance of the God of gods, and he'll get by with it for a while until this time of wrathful judgment is completed, for what is decreed must be done. He'll have no respect for the gods of his ancestors, not even that popular favorite among women, Adonis. Contemptuous of every god and goddess, the king of the north will puff himself up, greater than all of them. He'll even stoop to despising the God of the holy ones, and in the place where God is worshipped, he will put on exhibit with a lavish show of silver and gold and jewels, a new god that no one has ever heard of. Marching under the banner of a strange god, he will attack the key fortresses. He'll promote everyone who falls into line behind this god, putting them in positions of power and paying them off for grants of land. In the final wrap-up of this story, the king of the south will confront him, but the king of the north will come at him like a tornado. Unleashing chariots and horses and an armada of ships, he'll blow away anything in his path. As he enters the beautiful land, people will fall before him like dominoes. Only Edom, Moab, and a few Ammonites will escape. As he reaches out, grabbing country after country, not even Egypt will be exempt. He will confiscate the treasuries of Egyptian gold and silver and other valuables. The Libyans and Ethiopians will fall in with him. Then disturbing reports will come in from the north and east that will throw him into a panic. Towering in rage, he'll rush to stamp out the threat, but he'll no sooner have pitched camp between the Mediterranean Sea and the Holy Mountain, all those royal tents, than he'll meet his end, and not a soul around who can help. Daniel 12, worst trouble in the world has ever seen. That's when Michael, the great angel prince, the champion of your people, will step in. It will be a time of trouble, the worst trouble the world has ever seen. But your people will be saved from the trouble, every last one found written in the book. Many who have been long dead and buried will wake up, some to eternal life, others to eternal shame. Men and women who have lived wisely and well will shine brightly like the cloudless star-strewn night skies, and those who put others on the right path to life will glow like stars forever. This is a confidential report, Daniel, for your eyes and ears only. Keep it secret. Guess he didn't do that. He wrote a whole book. He put the book under lock and key until the end. In the interim, there's going to be a lot of frantic running around trying to figure out what's going on. As Daniel, took all this in, two figures appeared, one standing on this bank of the river and the other on the other bank. One of them asked the third man, who was dressed in linen and straddled the river, "How long is this astonishing story to go on?" That's what I was asking. The man dressed in linen who straddled the river raised both hands to the skies. I heard him solemnly swear by the Eternal One that it would be time, 2 times and a half time, that when the oppressor of the holy people was brought down, the story would be complete. I heard all this plainly enough, but I didn't understand it. So I asked, Master, can you explain this to me? Go on about your business, Danny. He said, the message is confidential and under lock and key until the end, until things are about to be wrapped up. The populace will be washed clean and made like new, but the wicked will just keep on being wicked without a clue about what's happening. Those who live wisely and well will understand what's going on. From the time that the daily worship is banished from the temple and the obscene desecration is set up in its place, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed are those who patiently make it through 1,335 days. And you, go about your business without fretting and worrying. Relax. When it's all over, you'll be on your feet to receive your reward. Ain't that nothing? This is the